everybody. You're very welcome to a new episode of Redefining Cybersecurity. I'm Sean Martin, your host, where if you listen to the show, you know I get to talk to cool people about cool topics related to cybersecurity, the impact it can have on business, and the opportunities security teams have to not just protect the business, but actually help grow revenue and protect that revenue along the way. And one topic clearly that's been on everybody's mind for quite some time now, it doesn't seem to be slowing down, is the idea or LLMs and artificial intelligence and generative AI. And there's I don't know if it's a new term, a new kid on the block, but agentic AI has been something that's come up quite a bit as well. And there's a lot of work with a few different working groups, kind of understanding what that is and how it relates to cybersecurity to protect the business and cybersecurity to define programs. And I'm thrilled to have Ken Huang on to help me understand a little bit more and help our listeners understand a little bit more what this means to them, their teams, and their programs. So Ken, thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Sean.
It's a pleasure to connect with you and have this chat. You've done so much work here. I could just list it, but I'd actually like you to kind of describe the working groups you're part of with CSA and OWASP, some of the books you've authored, to kind of paint a picture of the work you've been doing here. I know you're part of the forum for OpenAI as well, contributing to that space. So give us a little background on what you're doing and some of the things you've been working on with AI broadly, and then Agentic AI as well.
Sure. Thank you, Sean. Yeah, I regard myself as an AI cybersecurity researcher and a book author. I co-chair the Cloud Security Alliance AI Control Working Group. We produce the taxonomy and currently working on the AI control framework. I lead the auditing guidelines working group or work stream. And also, I am co-chair of the Organization Responsibility Working Group within CSA. We published 3 white papers last year. The first white paper is the core security. Second one is the GRC side. And the last one is the application supply chain responsibility. And now we are working on the Agentic AI red teaming guide within this organization. And we kind of partner with OWASP AI Exchange. So that's my involvement with the Cloud Security Alliance. I also see it's very important we need to work across different cyber security communities so we know what people working on, so we are not to have the duplicate effort. So I actually contribute to SANS. Recent, they have the security control guide. I provide lots of comments to SANS get SANS, right? SANS guide, and I also am the core member of OWASP Top 10 for large language models and contribute a lot to their work. So some of the work, including the red teaming guide and also the threat and the mitigation for agentic AI. Currently, I'm leading a work stream called the multiple agent threat modeling. And we will close the comments actually this week. It has been working since last year. It's a lot of work. And yesterday, I write a script in Google Doc to see how many comments we get. We get more than 900 comments just for that document from different revisions. So it's coming out very well. And in terms of a book, I wrote a book on the generative AI security. It's been quite popular from the Spring website alone. It has like 17,000 paid access. Right? It's a kind of you get 17,000 likes in LinkedIn, but I never get this kind of thing likes. But Spring is more, it's academic and also professional. But if people really paid for it, I think it's a good justification for this book. And another book is Agentic AI related. It's called as Agentic AI Theories and Practice. I started writing this book early last year and submitted the final draft to Spring as well. That book will be published August this year. So it's in production. It could be another huge hit. I have another hit of a book. It's called the Beyond AI, Chat GPT and Web 3. It's like the intersection. That book is has like 28,000 paid access in Spring. So yeah. Anyway, if I really need to cite another book, is published by the Cambridge University Press. It's called the Self-Solving Internet and AI, right? So yeah, multiple books, but I think my real focus, the majority of focus is really on the security, and I have the distributed app AI. So we do the red teaming, risk assessment, and also chief AI officer kind of roadmap for the some of the startup and some of the enterprise. It's a lot of fun. So
A lot of fun. You've been busy, Ken, and it's my pleasure to let everybody know. I'll share the links to your books and resources that you mentioned here, all in the spirit of learning. So, great job doing the work on the books, and hopefully people continue to read those and become better informed and make better decisions for themselves, their career, the business, and what have you. Um, I want to start off. It's going to be a fairly broad question, but then I'm going to focus it into kind of my audience who listens to the show. So I think folks probably heard the term agentic AI and probably have some base level of understanding what it means if they looked into it at all. Um, what I want your perspective on is what the organization needs to know about what it is. So, definition of it, and maybe perhaps a brief word on what it means to developers and data teams, operations in IT, operations in security, and any other roles you think really need to understand what's going on here. That'd be a great way to start, I think.
yeah, yeah, that's good. So since the Chat GPT movement, the initial application is really chatbot, and people trying to using retrieval augmented generation, the vector database, trying to build the AI applications. That eventually lead to the agentic AI. There's no standard industry definition yet, but I think there is consensus in terms of what component agentic AI is composed of. It usually needs the planning capability or loading. Like if you give a task, it will break down the task into small tasks, and then each task it can be kind of allotted to different agent, and then each agent has its own task to do with tools. A tool could be like retrieve files or search the website, or maybe calling the vector database. So different tool, and then take the action means actually using the tool to produce the result, right? And the main reason why this is good is according to research is the especially the multiple agent system. It can like it perform well in terms of its reasoning and the grounding. Grounding means it's uh, actually grounding to the latest information and the accuracy, right? So from this side, it's really unleash the enterprise applications. The previously the application logic is hard coded in program logic in kind of you using Java, Python, COBOL, right, to programming your application or SaaS application. Now with the agentic AI, all this is dynamic. Like you don't have to code it. Even you want to code it, it will generate the code on the fly and to execute your business logic. So we are at the first inning of the agentic AI, right? It's still early, but we already see lots of good result from it. Example like OpenAI deep research. Are you still here?
Yes,
Okay,
I
cool.
think you froze there for a second, but we're still good. Keep going.
Okay. So yeah, as the internet sometimes is not cooperating. So anyway, yeah, the example like the OpenAI operator or the deep research, it's the agentic AI. It's being used for recently a Chinese team called the Manus. Many people really use it, find that it can build this application, do some scientific research. So it's already show some sign of the use. And even the Salesforce has agent force. It's basically used trying to use it in different workflow applications. And the CEO even said they were not hire new engineer anymore, right? Maybe it's a marketing team, but certainly uh, code agent is another example. It's a really generate code, so it will replace some of the junior software engineer, or at least make the software engineer more productive. So there's a lot. So as regarding your question in terms of what is the impact to develop, uh, is the developer like from this agentic AI perspective is AI engineer, right? So AI engineer need using different framework like a Clue AI, AutoGen, uh, lot of open source. There's at least like 50 open source agentic AI framework now. I also my own develop an agentic AI framework in my GitHub. The My framework is a multiple agent framework, but it can instantiate the uh, agent framework based on the JSON file, JSON configuration file, and all this interaction between the agent is through the policy in the JSON file. So you don't have to to code it like to say, okay, I need new agent or whatever, right? It's just build it. So if you want to update, you can. So there's so many. IBM also recently has the BAI agent, right? And there's a many protocol. I think one thing need to mention is the MCP protocol from Claude. It's gaining the momentum. And actually within the OWASP, we trying to select model. So if you want to use the MCP protocol to using you to build your agentic AI applications, uh, what could a potential threat be, right? So we actually list all this threat. This document will be published at the ISA conference. I will be speaking at the ISA conference as well. So yeah, so from developer perspective, if they want to using Crew AI, AutoGen, all this framework, and this framework do have little bit of like a security uh, features in terms of how do you authenticate. But that's it. There's no fine-grained access control, right? So one thing is I built a zero agent framework. What I call a zero agent is it's also open source, right? That's what I'm talking in ISA conference. Is for people to using AutoGen, they can just using my SDK and to introduce all the authentication, fine-grained access control, even the monitoring into the code. So that's for developer. If they do not use the open source, they need to develop themselves. But they have to make sure that this framework is secure. Out of box, it's not right. Usually the idea of AutoGen, Clue AI, they are really good. They enable develop develop the multiple agent system, and all the security is at the discretion of the developer how they integrate with the security framework. So this SDK I think is important. I will talk about this in ISA conference. So this developer, you also mentioned the data team. So the data teams does play a role in this agentic AI. In if we want to fine tuning the model to using the private enterprise data, or if we want to embedding the data in the vector database, right? Because they will be leveraged by the agentic AI. So in this case, they want to make sure the all the security controls in place in terms of provenance of data and access control of data. If the data need to be encrypted in vector database, all this. So I have to mention that my book, Generative AI Security, there's a specific whole chapter on the data security, like all different aspects, right? This applicable for the data team. And you also mentioned the IT operations team. So how do you deploy your agentic AI uh, in the cloud or using container? How do you, if there's API, how do you secure the API? Use the API gateway or maybe LLM gateway for prompt injection, right? So there's different options. And the key thing is really, again, go back to zero trust because there's no boundary. In the older days, like we have the boundary, we have VPN, right? With agent, it's in the long run, you have the agent in AWS, another agent maybe in on-prem, then another agent in GCP or Azure. They can communicate with each other. So they are across the boundary, right? So you cannot really put a box into it. So this is the way the agent is moving, right? So especially the multiple agent system. So how do you make sure it works and you do not from I publish a research paper. It's a blog post, I would say. It's a Cloud Security Alliance about the identity management of the agent because currently, if you're using SIMO or OAuth as an identity authentication or access control, right, for your agent, that's static. Static, it's not good enough because agent really need some of autonomy. So you kind of limiting it. But how do you like unleash the power? But also it's secure. Then you have to leverage dynamic policy, right? That's, but still zero trust. So this is more from IT operation. I think you mentioned also security operation. Uh, so the book which will publish in August, I do mention the security operation will be done by the agent because it's very important. We can never catch up from defense side because so many AI risk. There's so many, right? And people just like we are shorting staff, right? And people don't have this knowledge. I have an EC console video course to kind of train the cybersecurity people or AI people on the AI security side. Yeah, the people interested can take a look. There's lots of, yeah, I think I get like 5 stars. More than 200 people review it, give 5 stars, so which is good. Yeah. But the key thing is eventually we need agentic AI to be a defensive agent to catch up with the offensive, right? So this one chapter on that. So from security operational side, we need to deploy this kind of agent, and I know there's a few company working on that on the detection side.
Right.
It's very interesting and many people, right? And but how do you trust it, right? Also again, right? So this how do you integrate with your traditional security infrastructure? You still need the CrowdStrike, you still need the Microsoft Defender, you still need the Tanium, right? All this, you still need the SAST tool, Sneak, right? Or different tool like Burp Suite. You still need all this. But I think agentic AI is give you an add-on, an enhancement from defense side. But people also like one chapter we write is also from offensive side, right? That's maybe too much to talk about. Yeah. So from agentic AI side, you question about developer, the IT ops, SecOps, and also data team. Is there other thing I need to cover? Or?
No, I think that's it. And I wanted to let you go, kind of paint that picture. And I'm glad we ended with the kind of detection and response because I'm going to lead us back there, but I'm going to go back to the beginning
Mhm.
to talk about even before developers. So as we're defining, as organizations are, you talk about the Salesforce plugging this into to drive workflows. I'm picturing if then this, if this, then that. I'm picturing things like Zapier where you can orchestrate things. But also, those are no code, low code, right, systems.
Yeah.
But then there's also engineered applications that are off the shelf with extensibilities or custom built bespoke solutions. And so I want to go to maybe some, I don't know, if you have some examples of organizations using this, because I'm seeing these, or my picture of this is the agents are purpose built to do specific things, right? Go off, research, either use some data has available, or it was given to it, or use information that's available publicly, do some magic, come back with a response, either a yes or a no, or some equation, or some context, or some text stories, whatever it is, and code. It sounds like, which is, well, I want to keep that one separate. But I guess my point is, it's a way for organizations to create specific tasks in the agents, and the agents become smarter, perhaps with more context, grounded, as you put, with the latest information. Can you describe a scenario or two where that's happening so people can visualize better than I just described in terms of what it means for the business?
Yeah. So, yeah, if I understand your question, you are more talking about business case, not the security side. Oh,
Correct.
both.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Broader business use
Yeah.
case.
So, I would say the currently the majority of use is still chatbot, but behind the chatbot you can have agentic AI as well, right? So the chatbot it has one example is there is a robotic startup, right? They're using a chatbot, but behind the scene it's the what kind of robot they build internally. So they have the vector database. What is the most recent uh, research in the robotic AI, and this is helping the team to kind of brainstorming with chatbot is kind of like a co-worker, right? So that's one of the use case. I think agent force is people also building the agent force themselves to do some workflow process, and service now is also doing the same thing. It's more like if you have a ticket, you can ask the agent. Agent, of course, you have to have the access control of this, right? Agent may be able to get to the your Entra ID, or maybe connected to your Azure DevOps, different database, to do the work for you. All right, so that's coming, but I have to say, 2025 is the genesis. The whole revolution will be at least 10 years, and if we really want to have a chatbot agent which can book the air ticket for you or planning the whole thing, you travel for you, it may be in 2 years. Um, right? Because there is still some security. That's why we focus on threat modeling side of it. You still have the yeah. Nowadays, like even you're using Zapier, it's okay. Yeah, you can using Zapier with agent as well. MCP, I think, is trying to kind of have an abstraction layer right, on top of the Zapier, right? So the MCP server encapsulates the API. So you have the MCP server that a client can use, right? So that's gaining the momentum. Yeah. So I think just to go back to business. Enterprise really should investigate into this, and they can talk to us. So we have the kind of agentic AI audit to see what kind of workflow stream process you can use based on your particular requirement and also your particular IT infrastructure, right? Some may be not ready yet, but some may be a quicker win, right? So there's a way to provide this kind of audit as well. Yeah.
I My head's exploding right now because the there's so many places to go. I'm going to stick with kind of this flow of we build something, we validate it, we deploy it,
Mhm.
and it gets used. Um, Having roots many years ago in quality assurance, and then what was DevSec Ops before it was called that. And I've said this before on many episodes. The introduction of AI, and especially or chat, yeah, LLMs and generative AI, and especially when we talk about agentic AI. Um, to me, it seems the possibilities for quality assurance validation are endless, and equally for security. Now, perhaps with agentic AI, we can actually encapsulate some of this stuff, and maybe I'm thinking here, to your point, using agentic AI to maybe validate the quality, not just the response, but also the quality of the response in line, and then perhaps also the security of the thing, and also the security of the inputs and the outputs, wrapping it all together. So I'm kind of just speaking out or thinking out loud here. I guess my question to you is, um, do you see how this might look altogether in terms of how we actually test for accuracy of whatever the agent is ingesting and then responding with? Um, I mean, if we're starting to talk about multiple agents in complex workflows, how do we validate that where the path may change because the agent
Yeah.
says it needs to? So how do we get a handle on this
Right, right. I think it's
complexity?
a very good question. I think it's a tie back to the title of your podcast, Redefining Cybersecurity. I think the whole cybersecurity is evolving, right, in the past like 20, 30 years, very gradually, but now it's really the tipping point or inflection point that we really need to redefine it because of agentic AI. And you mentioned that using the agentic AI to be a judge, to validate the output, the response, and also the process, the planning process. It's actually is some work that research has been doing, um, and still we are not at the point that we can fully trust the LLM as a judge or agent AI as a judge. We are not at this point yet, but at least it helps, right? It can help to do that. And also using the generative AI or agentic AI to label the data, it's actually proving to be very efficient because you have to, if you want to do fine-grained attribute-based access control, you do need tagging or label the data just for the security classification perspective. So there's even the Department of Defense has the research on this, right? They publish the paper in the archive. So that is doing, but the whole thing is, I think people still not waking up yet, majority. And actually, I documented this in Generative AI Security book. Is your current security program, if you don't change based on the Generative AI, Agentic AI, you will get hacked, right? It's you have to extend it, or you have to revisit it. That's including like the use policy, AI usage policy. That's only part of it. But in terms of what is your policy, uh, how to use it, how do you do the all this? You said validation testing, incident response, right? It's all changed. And what is the procedures, right? And all this is I have very detailed kind of steps there. People should take a look.
Is
But
that in the
yeah,
guide? Because I was going to ask you about the guide. Is that the guide?
sorry.
Is that the responsibility guide?
Uh, Response, yeah, the corporate responsibility guide does not touch the security programming side.
Okay.
That's in my book. It's published by Springer. That's yeah, it's a different set of thing. Yeah, but yeah, it's a chapter 2 or 3 It's basically talk about the landscape of generative AI security and the security program, uh, how the enterprise need to kind of augment. You don't have to like erase all your security program, delete it. You need to augment,
Well,
revise, right?
I wanted to ask you about that because
Mm,
I'm 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 a CISO listening to this, or a security leader responsible for infrastructure security or incident response in the SOC, and I'm trying to think, how do I make sense of this? I have a program I have to not let fall apart. You say augment my current program,
mhm.
whatever piece I own. Um, do we not need to maybe build something in parallel? I'm just wondering, do we need to, in order to get this right, not just
Mhm.
augment and tack on more, but do we actually, to your point, do we actually need to redefine and
Yeah,
in parallel start with something? So, and if that's the case, where do teams start? Let's start with the CISO. What do they, if that's the case, what does the CISO need to do to actually get started with something like that?
yeah. So some of the people talk with me. Some of the clients, some just the like my network. They are from the financial airline, air industry airline, right? Um, I cannot disclose what the name is. They actually building the uh, generative AI security program on parallel, focus on the data security, model security, ML SecOps, or right, red teaming, all this like it's a whole suite of things. One thing I can say that it's public available is Microsoft. It has a responsibility AI console, right, under the executive VP. I think Brad Smith has a name, and then within that, it has a red teaming guide, right? The red teaming, and also the whenever you have building up a AI application, you have to first go through the impact analysis or responsibility AI or responsible AI impact analysis, right? And of course, it's really based on the risk management framework. So they also have their old risk management framework, which kind of fine tuned, uh, collaborate with the responsibility AI. They are also in kind of in talk, in collaboration with the Microsoft research team. So yeah, this is maybe a big enterprise, this approach, but the small enterprise, uh, you maybe just for now just augment what you have, right? You don't have the team to build like a few hundred teams to do all this, right? So yeah, it really depends.
Well, maybe it starts sooner because you mentioned risk management, and I'm a nerd for risk management.
Mhm.
And I hate to even suggest that we the one way to look at it is become the Department of No, but I think there's a need for defining the scope of what this stuff can do. Because to my earlier point, if it can do anything, right, it
Mhm.
can produce anything, even just from a quality perspective, you might be running around with your head hair on fire. From a security perspective, you might be chasing stuff that you shouldn't have to chase. Uh, is there a way to guide the business to kind of scope what they're building, so there are guardrails, so that QA teams aren't trying to test every every potential case, and security teams chasing every potential vulnerability and attack? What are your views on risk management in this regard for guide guardrails, obviously?
Yes. So my view of risk management is always like the business has to justify their application, right? The functionality. Like if business really need, then you can do risk management to see if this one is at risk, what kind of cost it is. Sometimes you just bite the bullet to say, okay, we take the risk, right? But one thing is we certainly need to look at the regulation as well, right? The EU AI Act, like there's a prohibited use. So if you want to do face recognition or, to the public,
Right.
that's prohibited, right? So of course uh, because yeah, Biden's AI executive order is rescinded, so the new executive order from Trump is more like a pro. Uh, the innovation, right? But still, like, yeah, I think for the people who really want to develop their application using EU AI Act as a reference is good, and look at the business justification of the functionality, then do the threat modeling. Like you have to like m- do the for this application, what is the touch point? Like especially agentic AI, it touch many different point, and what could potentially be the threat, and then you can say what the threat could be high, medium, low, right? What need to be adjusted. This actually can then be used by the development team to build a security control around the threat, and also can be used by the red teaming or security QA team to test it. So yeah, so I think the key idea is risk management is really to I think to leverage a NIST AI IMF or framework is good. It has like you have to first map you threat, and then you have to measure it, and then you govern it. Govern is more than manager, right? It has a manager, you manage it, but eventually you have to govern. So there is this kind of framework. I think it could be useful, especially on the AI space. But we also publish in CSA, corporate responsibility working group. We do have risk management section. So
Perfect.
in your white paper.
Fantastic. Well, as we wrap here, Ken, you mentioned EUAI Act and different policies here in the U.S. that come and go, and you also mentioned zero trust earlier, which I've come to realize that zero trust isn't necessarily a program; it's a mindset. And
Yes.
I'm wondering how you think of agentic AI and security programs and leading the business with a mindset that maybe doesn't chase the latest regulation or policy, maybe doesn't chase just the new flashy bits that says I'm going to solve all your problems in agentic AI security, but but it becomes more of a mindset. What do you say to security leaders and security teams that need to have that change maybe perhaps in the way they think about this?
Yeah, so I think more than ever before, zero trust is very important. I agree with you, Sean. This is a mindset. You approach the problem, you always never trust, always verify, especially with agentic AI. It's really increase your attack surface. So if you don't have to use agentic AI, do not use it. I see if it's working, never break, so keep it, right? So if you can using just a retrieval augmented generation without agentic behavior, agentic AI is really has a certain level of autonomy, right? It can make its own decisions. So you can maybe reduce its decision point and make it not agentic, like just a retrieval augmented generation, retrieve it, and then you have human as a judge, look at if it works for your business cases, that's great. Then if more innovative, you want to have a single agent first in your enterprise, to just have one agent deploy to test the water, to see how it works, to see if you have a return on investment on this, right? And if it really increase efficiency and also the security is addressed, then you go to the multiple agent. Right? And they can leverage actually. We have this threat modeling guide will be published soon, so they can leverage it. And we have like if you want to develop a RPA agent, what kind of threat could it be, right? And if for people using the Web3 like crypto agent, there many people trying to develop, right? What kind of threat it could be? Because the agent can access to your wallet, then it can transfer the funds, right? All this. So this also we have the like we have three like real world use case for our threat modeling. It's based on my framework called Maestro threat modeling framework, originally also published at the Cloud Security Alliance. But this is all the industry joint effort, right? So
Oh, that's good. That's
yeah.
good. I'm glad you're involved in so many things so you can share some commonalities between them.
Yeah, I
And
think it's
yeah,
important to like go to different kind of community to see what are they talking about, what we can contribute. It's really trying to
mm,
reduce duplication of effort. There's still a lot, I would say. So
yeah,
my effort is with some also of
yeah,
my other coworker or volunteer. We're trying to do the same thing. Yes.
yeah. Well, we need the depth, of course, and the specific knowledge for each area. But I think the cross view that you're promoting is super important as well. I keep going back to the uh, I don't know if it was an airline example or maybe a somebody who books travel agent
Oh,
example,
Canadian airline. Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah,
a super interesting space. Just this whole thing where perhaps users are interacting with systems and
yeah.
outcomes the whole itinerary with
Yeah,
hotels and
yeah, for
airlines and
this particular instance, is chatbot agree to give a discount
right.
of certain amount, but this chatbot hallucinating, right? He did not get yeah, discount. Yeah,
Yeah, you end up somewhere you don't want to go.
yeah.
There you go. Well, Ken, this has been fantastic. Certainly very eye opening for me. Hopefully, the folks watching and listening are thinking a little bit differently, embracing a new mindset for how to approach agentic AI and security of that stuff and the quality. I mean, end users ultimately will determine whether they like it or not. I mean, it being each each organization's specific thing that they build, whether it's for internal partner use, customer use, whatever it is. Um, so I'm going to include a bunch of links to the resources that you mentioned. I have a few of them. Kim, I'll ask you to share the rest of it with us so we can put that in the show notes. Read, engage and talk. Join the communities. Join the working groups too.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point.
Contribute and learn.
Yeah,
Um,
working group open to everyone. So
yeah,
sometimes
absolutely.
I share in
OAuth,
the LinkedIn,
CSA. You
right?
mentioned a few others, but those are the two that I know very well.
Yeah.
Um, so, Ken, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sean.
Appreciate the conversation and everything you're doing. Everybody listening and watching, please do connect with Ken and read some of the stuff that he and others have produced. And please stay tuned to more Redefining Cybersecurity as we do just that, redefine cybersecurity. Thank you all.
Thank you, Sean. Take care.